Country music star Carrie Underwood has won a major legal battle against the daytime talk show The View, and the outcome is making headlines across the industry. It all began after Underwood performed at former President Donald Trump's second inauguration, a choice that sparked strong reactions. Several co-hosts of The View, including Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin, openly criticized her on air. Instead of staying silent, Underwood responded by taking legal action. Her lawsuit brought attention to how public figures are often treated by the media, and the court proceedings revealed surprising details that are now raising serious questions in the entertainment world. The result? A billion-dollar verdict in Underwood's favor, putting ABC and The View under intense scrutiny as they work to manage the fallout. This case could have lasting effects on how media outlets approach public commentary, and it's already being seen as a turning point in how celebrities protect their reputations.
Country superstar Carrie Underwood has spent most of her career avoiding political talk, but she's set to perform at the upcoming inauguration. She said in a statement that she's doing it because the country must come together in the spirit of unity and look to the future. And lots of her fans aren't thrilled about it, but lots of her fans are.
It all started with what seemed like a simple and patriotic moment. Carrie Underwood performed America the Beautiful at Donald Trump's second inauguration, a choice that sparked mixed reactions across the country. Some applauded her for honoring her country and keeping politics out of her performance. Others, however, saw it as a political statement and criticized her for taking part. The reaction was swift, but it was nothing compared to what came next. The following day, The View aired strong opinions about Underwood's performance. Co-hosts Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin questioned her motives, suggesting the performance sent a political message rather than just being about the music. Their comments quickly turned personal. They criticized Underwood's judgment and questioned her future in the industry. Some even predicted that both Nashville and Hollywood might distance themselves from her and that fans could stop supporting her music. Suddenly, a single performance had turned into a major controversy. Although Underwood stayed quiet publicly at first, the impact behind the scenes was real. Sponsors grew hesitant, entertainment insiders talked, and other media outlets picked up the story, often echoing The View's tone. What was meant to be a brief musical appearance had become a turning point in her career, one that nearly derailed it. But instead of backing down, Carrie made a bold decision. She stood up for herself and took action.
Here is The View link weighing in. I know you were waiting to hear what Whoopi Goldberg had to say, and I have it for you. Take a listen.
I would not normalize him. And she says, I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
I agree with you, Joy. I can't sing a lick, but I certainly, and I have not been asked, but if I were asked, it would be a hard no.
Well, people do what they do for whatever reasons. It's like Joe and Mika.
Yeah.
They did what they did. They felt that's what they needed to do, and I got to stand behind them. If I believe I have the right to make up my mind to go perform someplace, I believe they have the same right.
Of course.
And so
That's
I have
true.
to, I have to support.
Of course, she has the right to do it. What an inane point to bring them all together. Like, what? She's saying absolutely nothing.
Carrie Underwood's initial silence wasn't a sign of defeat. It was a strategic choice. While the hosts of The View continued their public criticism, she remained quiet and observed as the reaction around her began to shift. Radio stations grew hesitant to play her music. Brands that once eagerly partnered with her started to back away. And in industry circles, some questioned whether she had become too controversial for mainstream success. The narrative pushed by The View seemed to take hold quickly, and the impact on Underwood's career became harder to ignore. But this wasn't just about one artist. It opened up a broader discussion about media influence, bias, and cancel culture. Fans were divided. Some supported her unconditionally, while others began to pull back. Behind the scenes, even insiders started questioning the role talk shows play in shaping public opinion. Was this genuine political critique, or something more targeted? Then came a major development. Internal emails from ABC executives obtained through the legal process, were leaked to the public. These messages suggested that leaders at the E! Network had encouraged the criticism of Underwood, not as part of responsible journalism, but as a way to drive engagement and stir controversy. According to the lawsuit, the show's producers believed that singling out a high-profile artist with perceived conservative leanings would create buzz, fuel online debate, and increase viewership. As these revelations came to light, attention shifted. The story was no longer just about Carrie Underwood's performance. It had become a larger issue involving The View's credibility and ABC's editorial choices. Industry voices, legal experts, and even competing talk shows began asking serious questions about how much power media networks should have in shaping reputations and public narratives. What began as criticism of one singer had grown into a major controversy for ABC and The View.
I personally hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't like their politics. And whether it was the Dixie Chicks for criticizing George Bush, didn't agree with it then, and Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows.
Right.
But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood. 75 million people voted for Trump. Artists tend to skew left-leaning.
As the controversy surrounding Carrie Underwood continued to grow, it became clear that this was about more than a disagreement between a celebrity and a talk show. It had evolved into a much larger conversation about who controls public narratives, and the responsibility media outlets have to report fairly. What began as quiet industry backlash quickly turned into a high-profile legal battle. After months of staying silent, Underwood decided it was time to take a stand, not just for herself, but for the integrity of the industry she had worked in for years. She filed a defamation lawsuit against The View, naming both the hosts and the network, and accusing them of deliberately damaging her reputation through false and harmful statements. But this case wasn't just about setting the record straight. It was a challenge to the growing influence of media-driven controversy and what many see as a culture of public takedowns. Underwood's legal team presented evidence suggesting the show's producers and network executives encouraged the backlash, not for journalistic reasons, but to boost ratings and stir online engagement. Internal documents uncovered during the lawsuit included emails and memos that appeared to show a coordinated effort to use Underwood's appearance at the inauguration as a way to spark outrage and drive viewership. The controversy, it seemed, had been used as a tool to attract attention, regardless of the impact on her career or personal life. As the case continued, more details came to light. Witnesses described how Underwood had been the focus of targeted media narratives, and how the network used the situation to further political talking points, rather than focus on fair reporting. What started as a disagreement over a performance had now turned into a nationwide conversation about media responsibility and ethical standards. The pressure on ABC and The View continued to grow, and many in the industry began to question how much influence networks should have over public opinion. Carrie Underwood's lawsuit had become much more than a personal effort to defend her name. It symbolized a broader stand against the harmful dynamics of modern media. With each step forward in court, she made it clear she wasn't just protecting her career. She was standing up for fairness, transparency, and change.